The new provisions narrow the aims of the NYDA, which were previously deemed too broad and possible for implementation. The new law sets out the composition, appointment and conditions of service of the NYDA board and directs, among other provisions, that board members must be South African citizens between the ages of 18 and 35. National Youth Development Agency CEO Waseem Carrim joins us to expand on this conversation. Waseem, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time and welcome to the late edition. The law assented to by the president is very clear and clearly aimed at refocusing the functions of the NYDA and narrowing the objectives of the agency. What is your reaction to the adjustments?
Good evening, Paul. Good evening to your listeners as well. Well, we are very happy that the president has assented to the law. I think it's been a long time coming. It's been a very thorough process that the bill had to go through, consultation with young people, consultation with civil society organizations, the pass through the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces, and finally, before the president obviously signed after the election into law. So it's been quite a process, a thorough process at that, a very rigorous one. So we're very pleased where we are that we've reached this point. Yeah.
With statistics showing a 45.5% unemployment rate amongst young people aged 15 to 34 years, in contrast to the national average of 32.9% in the first quarter of 2024, how do you think this new law will benefit or even begin to open up more opportunities for young people to access better gains?
Of course, policy and law is just one piece of what needs to be achieved, right? I think that South Africa has battled a high rate of unemployment for a long period of time now, right? And the intention is that this bill is not a silver bullet to be able to solve all of the challenges. It's got to work in coordination with other reforms. So, for example, the Bella bill in basic education very much focuses on young people as well in the basic education sector. In the higher education department, there's been a great commitment towards reforming that sector for the post-school education and training system, right? If you even look at just structural issues around the economy, around energy, logistics, crime, corruption, those are other things that... So if all of these things start moving in the same direction at a similar pace and time, then I think we'll start to see the economy move in the right direction and we'll start to see those unemployment numbers on. But we can't expect one piece of legislation while everything else stays stagnant and expect the situation to improve.
Yeah, fair enough. The new law also sets out the composition, appointment and conditions of service of the NYDA board, also directing, among other provisions, that the board members must be South African citizens between the ages of 18 and 35. If you had to look at the current composition of the NYDA as you and I speak, would you say that this is a change that can be easily implemented?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even though the age was not specific previously, it's always been the recommendation that the NYDA is an organization for young people and therefore should be led by young people, right? So I think Parliament and the President in their wisdom have always appointed younger people towards the board. I think there's also some good steps within there to strengthen the governance. So, for example, the minister who oversees the NYDA can now make 2 appointments to the board, just to add some level of additional governance as well. Because when you put young people in a structure, you have to put some supportive mechanisms for them, because we do know experience also plays an important role in governance.
Yeah. Because one would have automatically assumed that it's a National Youth Development Agency. There should be young people working within the agency.
Certainly so,
yeah. Do you think that this will perhaps assist in giving young people better and more opportunities with this age and specific indication that it has to be a South African citizen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that those are two separate things, right? So I think on the opportunity side, right, I think there's two things that drive opportunities. One is the political will to be able to do it, and I think there the NYDA plays an important lobby and advocacy role, right, in motivating to the powers that be when, and opportunities can be created for young people, right? So I think that role is fundamental, and also the NYDA's role in holding government and other sectors accountable for what they commit to driving around opportunities for young people. But then at a second level, I mean, I think, the South African citizen thing has been quite a bit in the news the last couple of days, particularly with comments made in the city of Johannesburg, And I think it's important. I think migration is a tricky issue in the South African context, and how we deal with migration is important. But I think, very much so in the government of South Africa, it's important for us to focus on reserving opportunities for South African youth and giving them the maximum opportunities to fulfill their potential in society.
Yeah. I would have viewed the age restriction as an opportunity to perhaps get some insight on young people's thoughts on the trends and really, use it as a hub of information to make sure that the funds and the trends are being monitored in a way that would advance young people. The agency is also required to submit to the minister at least one report every 2 years on the status of youth in the country. What impact do you think that will have on government strategies on youth?
Yeah, I mean, I think South Africa has always been able to produce credible data, right? We're always able to craft data and research which outlines the problem for us here. And I think, of course, publishing those reports is part of the NYDA's mandate and it's part of its responsibility. However, it's solving the problem that's important, right? And really being the driver around the solution that will enable us to solve the problem that's important. So I think that's a very important element, and I think it should continue to be there. And I think it's important that we don't, downplay the problem. But I do think the solution is more important than identifying the problem. We've been very good at identifying problems, not so good at solving them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked you the question because it was just factoring in what young people have said during elections, saying that they feel that there is no party that speaks to them, and factors like that just really making them feel like they're not part of the bigger picture. So I thought it would be important to really just scrutinize what input you think you will bring to value when you send this report to the minister.
Yeah, look, I think canvassing the views of young people and supporting them and supporting those views and also being able for the NYDA to work across political lines. Right? I mean, the NYDA has been quite a politicized institution in the past, and I think in the recent history, it's tried to work across multiple political organizations. Yeah, and I think that's important, right? I think South Africa has a proliferation of political parties, and it is important. I think one of the roles that the bill must try and play is encouraging young people to participate more in democratic processes. You are absolutely correct when you say young people are disengaged from democratic processes, and that's not a good thing. Yeah, we really want to see young people more involved in democratic processes in South Africa. So I think it's definitely an important role that the organization needs to play in being able to support youth in that area and sector. Yeah.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. National Youth Development Agency CEO Waseem Carrim expanding on that conversation.